Alrighty guys, welcome back to Star Wars Review. Today I'm reviewing Star Wars Andor Season 1 Episode 12, Rick's Road, which was directed by Benjamin Caron and written by Tony Gilroy and was released on November 23rd, 2022. So yeah, I'm very late on this one. It's mid-January. This episode came out 2 months ago. I just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't get around to making the video. But now I am, which episode was a phenomenal episode. I loved every single second of the episode. I really loved every single second of the season as a whole. But I thought this episode was a great end to the first season. You know, the culmination of everything with Ferrix and whatnot was wrapped up extremely nicely. Pretty much every character goes to Ferrix, because of Cassian, but except for Mon Mothma. But she only had a few scenes in the episode. So really my only complaint or issue with the episode is I wish she had a little more in this episode. But, we see her after a party with Perrin in their car speeder thing. And she tells Perrin to stop gambling, which the driver Cloris listens in on that conversation. And later goes to the ISB and tells Blevin all about it. Which, I do think Mothma was lying about it to kind of frame Perrin for the money she's lost. But there is a scene at the end of the episode with her, Perrin, and Lita meeting with Davos Scaldin and his family, which was a dialogue during it. It was, seeing them with the score and whatnot. So, it seems like they're going to go through with the arranged marriage. But I do wish we got a little more with Mothma in this episode. But, so much happens on Ferrix. And so I understand why there wasn't maybe more time for her. And, I loved everything on Ferrix. We see all the characters starting to arrive on the planet. We see Dedra Meero get there. We see her walk around the town with the one Imperial officer. I think Cord was his name. But we see him interact with Cynthia beforehand, which, throughout the episode we see Cynthia kind of, following him around, which in the scene we see her trailing them while, they're walking through town. But we see Zan, who's the person Cassian talked to at the end of last episode. When Zan tells Brasso about that conversation he had with Cassian, and he tells Brasso that Cassian now knows about Marva and that he might return. We see Nurchi, the one guy from I think the first episode, who Cassian owed money to, kind of overhear that conversation. Which later we see Nurchi talk to Zan at the cantina. And he gets Zan to slip up and tell him about Cassian and how he might return. But all while that's going on, we see Solomon Pack building some sort of device while looking at a hologram of his father. But we see Vel also now on Ferrix, which we see her kind of talk with Cynthia for a moment. But we then see Cassian also, who has arrived on Ferrix. We see him go to Clem's stone. And we see a flashback to when Clem was still alive. And we see, him teaching Cassian how to clean these little pieces of metal tech or something. It was a nice moment. I liked how he talked about how people don't look down. And even if they do, they don't look past the rust. Talking about those devices and how if you clean them, you can get a good bit back for them. But also I liked how that has more meaning than just what Clem was saying, how it could mean, not just pieces of tech or whatever, but, people like, Cassian. So I like that. But we then see Cassian head to Bix's place, where he finds, I think his name is Pelgla. We saw in the first few episodes, he was kind of ran the shipyard place. But Pelgla tells him what happened to Bix and whatnot, and how the Empire has arrested her. Which we then see a shot of her in her, cell area. But Cassian heads back to the Andor's old crashed ship, where he finally listens to Nemik's manifesto, which was just great. I really loved the scene. Obviously, Nemik just, put it extremely basically, just talks about the oppression of the Empire and, how to stand up against it. Obviously, that's putting it extremely basically. It was way more deep than that. Just go watch the scene. There's nothing I can really add to that scene. It was just great, which was a lot of just great scenes in this episode and just the whole show. But during that, we do see shots of Luthen now arriving on Ferrix. But afterwards, we kind of see the Imperials planning out the funeral and also planning the trap they're setting for Cassian, which, we kind of see them look at hologram maps and out on the balconies, like looking down, like, oh, this is where it is, whatnot. So yeah, but then we later see back at the ISB headquarters on Coruscant, where we learn that the Empire has taken out Anton Krieger and his rebel group, which we see Partagas talking to Dedra over Zoom, I guess, which, Dedra's upset that they didn't take Krieger in for questioning, but Partagas tells her that, it was more for wiping, the rebel group out and to kind of show them that you can't do stuff like what they did on Aldhani, and that, Partagas says that if she wants info and answers, she needs to just go find Axis, which then cuts to Luthen heading into town. But we see that Imperial officer Cord, whatever his name is, watching over Marva's house. We see someone leave with B2 Emo, which Cord realizes it isn't Brasso, so kind of alerts the others. Which we then see Brasso meeting up with Cassian in this underground tunnel, which I really like their reunion. Cassian's obviously upset over everything with Marva, and that, last time he saw her, just kind of argued with each other a little bit. But, Brasso tells him something Marva told the Brasso to tell to Cassian, saying that, none of what's going on was Cassian's fault, and, everything with the Empire was already brewing. But also says that someday Cassian will be an unstoppable force for good, which I really, really love that moment. This episode had a lot of great, obviously I was coming from Brasso, but Marva speeches. But then Cassian asks about Bix, which Brasso says last he heard that, she was still alive, but he doesn't know, why they have her. He just, assumes that, maybe she knows something, which obviously we know that she does. But Cassian then prepares to go and somehow save her, which Brasso says he'll take care of Marva and whatnot. But we then see Surreal and Nines Mosque heading in to town on that bus thingy. You see them swap hats, which is a funny little moment. Obviously, the reasoning was that the hat Surreal had was loose, and obviously the hat Linus had was a tighter one. So obviously Surreal won the tighter one because he's a weirdo. But we then see Cassian come out of that tunnel into this little building area, which there's a ladder he can climb up to, so he's able to kind of look over Rick's Road in this upper area, which Nurchi sees something going on there, because he sees Pelgla leaving that building, because Pelgla was in there too. But we then see Luthen meeting up with Vel, which they talk about Cassian if he came back, which, she says she doesn't exactly know, but she says the Empire thinks so. So, he probably has. But she mentions a female ISB agent, referring to Dedra, which, Luthen already knows about her, and is now more happy because now he knows that the Empire will do the hunting for him and find Cassian so they can just swoop in and kill him. But Luthen asks when the funeral will start, which Vel says a few hours. But we then start hearing the time grappler hitting his anvil, and we see everyone kind of reacting to it, and we start seeing this band playing music as everyone joins in on a march towards Rick's Road. So we see the Imperials kind of getting ready. We see Luthen also get ready. He tells Vel to go find Cynthia, but we see him kind of standing, waiting near the hotel on these steps. But we do see Cynthia joining in that march because she's following Cord, the Imperial officer, which we then see Cord talking to Nurchi, who reveals the location of Cassian, which they then tell the other Imperials, which Dedra then goes over to that building with some other, I think it was Death Troopers. But while Cassian was up in his perch, he spots Luthen, on the area he's standing in. But we also then see Surreal and Linus Mosk get to Rick's Road, and they're also standing right in front of Luthen. We also see Bix kind of reacting to the music. But, Cassian notices Dedra and the Death Troopers coming for him, so he makes his escape back down the tunnel. And, then the Imperials go in there and then, don't find him. But we then see Brasso and B2 Emo go to the front of the marching band or parade or whatever with Marva Stone, which when they get to the front, the band stops playing and everyone just kind of stops for a moment. And then they pick it back up with a faster paced song and everyone starts moving much faster towards the Imperials, which they, get to the end of the road and everyone starts chanting, I think it was Stone and Sky or something like that. I guess it's like something part of their ritual. But we see Cassian take that underground tunnel to the hotel and he enters to go save Bix. But during that, we see B2 Emo starting to play a message from Marva, which this was just fantastic. This moment is probably my favorite moment from the episode, and maybe just the season as a whole. It was great. I really, really love this moment. But her message just talks about how much Ferrix means to her and how the Empire is taking their community away from them and that they can no longer take it. Which during this message, we see a lot of the characters kind of reacting to it, while the Imperials are kind of like going all around trying to find Cassian, even though he's right there in their headquarters. But near the end of Marva's message, the one Imperial has had enough of the message and goes and puts his cloak over the hologram, which the hologram is coming out of B2 Emo. But we do hear the final words of Marva's message, which are fight the Empire. So that Empire just kicks over B2 Emo and everyone just starts, fighting. We see Brasso beating the shit out of some Imperials using Marva Stone, which was just awesome. I really, really love that. And, even though Marva, is no longer there, she was still able to be a part of the fight. So I really, really love that moment. But during it, we see Cassian make his way, to Bix's cell area and saves her, which obviously Bix is not in a good state at all. So he has to kind of convince her to come with him. But outside, the fighting, continues. And we see Solomon Pack, who is also there, earlier in the episode, he had built that device, which it's a bomb. So he throws it at the Imperials. It blows up, and then it causes some of the explosives the Imperials had laying around to go off, so it makes an even bigger explosion. One thing, I feel like it should have killed a lot more people, but it didn't. After that, the Imperials start, really going at them. They start, shooting at them and whatnot. They try to take Solomon, but Brasso is there to help him out. And him and Brasso kind of get away. We see Zan trying to take out a Stormtrooper, but he unfortunately then gets shot and killed, which he, the shot kind of lingers on his dead body for a way, which is really unsettling. But we see Cynthia still following Cord, and they kind of finally, Cord finally notices. So Cynthia ends up killing him. We also see Pelga taking B2 Emo to safety. But we see Cassian now with Bix, out of the cell, trying to get out of the hotel, which they're able to do so. There's also not a big scene, but we see the Time Grappler taking out a Stormtrooper who climbs his tower. He just kind of kicks them off the tower. That was really cool. But we see Dedra starting to get ambushed, and Cyril Karn comes out and saves her and takes her to safety, which Dedra's surprised to see him, which there's some real sexual tension in the scene. But we see Luthen now on the outskirts, away from the fight, which I do wonder if Marva's message had an effect on him. During it, we saw the show to him a lot, and kind of saw it like just his facial reaction to it just felt like maybe he, felt the words she was saying and maybe sees what, even though he's fighting the Empire, maybe he's doing it in the wrong way. And then seeing the people of Ferrix actually fight, maybe it's changed him a little bit, and maybe we'll see that more in the second season. I have no clue. Also, I don't think the moment was here. I think it was like basically at the end of the episode. We see Linus Moss kind of just sitting around also after the fight, and I feel like maybe Mara's message had a big effect on him also. So yeah, I don't know if we'll see more of Linus Moss in the second season, but if we do, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him kind of joining up with the rebellion. But we then see the shipyard. We see Brasso there with Pelga and B2 Emo and the one daughter of Ferrix lady. I don't know her name. Saw him back and whatnot. They're trying to get the ship ready to take off. But then Cassian and Bix arrive, which he gets Bix aboard the ship. Has a little reunion with B2, but Cassian says that he's staying behind and kind of tells everyone to kind of get off the planet and get as far away as possible. I think they mentioned like a planet or something to go to, and he says we'll eventually find them. But we then see Luthen head back to his ship. He tries to talk to his ship, but it isn't responding, so he gets a little suspicious, heads to the cockpit, which then Cassian appears and gives Luthen the chance to kill him. But he also says, you can kill me or take me in. Which the episode ends with Luthen kind of smiling. And then, Cassian kind of left his blaster there and Luthen picked it up. And, Luthen smiling. And then the last shot is of Cassian, which, ends on a cliffhanger. Don't know if Cassian's going to survive. If Luthen's going to kill him or take him in, I have no clue. We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, that's a joke. We obviously know Luthen's going to take him in. But, I love this episode so much. Just every single second of it was perfect. I love seeing Ferrix stand up against the Empire. I loved Marva's speech. I love that final scene with Cassian and Luthen. I love the Cassian and Brasso's, reunion. Obviously, the scene with Nemec's manifesto was great. Just so much about this episode was great. I really, really loved it. No, it was just a perfect payoff for everything they were building up with Ferrix in the season. I do wish we got more of Mon Mothma. I do wish maybe we got one more fully fledged scene with her. Maybe the scene with her and her family, meaning with Davos Scoldon's family. Maybe give that a full scene, but I think it'll work perfectly in this episode. You're able to understand everything just by, watching the scene with music and no dialogue or anything. So really that's my only complaint was I wish there was a little more Mon Mothma. If there was more Mon Mothma, I'd probably say this was a perfect episode. And it already was pretty much just perfect. So I loved it to death. It was just so damn good. But there was a post-credit scene, kind of revealing what it was Cassian was building in that prison, which turns out to be little pieces to the Death Star's. I think it was the super laser, actually. So that was what I was expecting it to be. I don't think we really needed to see this scene, but it is what it is. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But this was an incredible episode. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, but my grade I'm giving A++. So yeah, but that's going to be it for this one. I'll be doing a full season review also, so you can check that out then. But in the meantime, you can check out my reviews on the first 11 episodes and everything else I do. And when season 2 comes out, I'll obviously be doing reviews for it then. But that's going to be it for this one. I've been Sarzu, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
War. There's fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting. You're in my net.
Are you a fish?
Or are you a thief?